Oh yes, it has been a minute since my last film review. I realised that. I took a little bit of January off to get some work done that was desperately needed. And in the meantime, I saw some great films that were worthy of some great reviews. But now is the time! Now is the time, because Black Panther is upon us, and if there was one thing that was going to bring me back to these film reviews, it was going to be Black Panther. So let's get into it. So Black Panther takes place pretty much right after Civil War. Maybe there's a couple of weeks in between, and he returns home to balance being a king of a civilization and the responsibilities that comes with, leading a people and being a figure of authority, and balancing that with being the Black Panther and the responsibilities that come with doing that and protecting people. And it's a great film that has that kind of duality balance. He is both a figure of authority in a civilization and in politics, as well as a superhero who is very physically capable of protecting those people. But the balance is there as well. Like, where do the lines meet of those two? There's actually a line at one point where T'Challa is having a vision and talking to his father, who was the previous Black Panther. There's a line that he says to him where he says, "It is hard to be a good person and a good king." And you do get that sense that being king and being Black Panther at the same time is a difficult thing, because it's one thing to go and be a superhero and go out and stop people who might be doing bad things in your country that you are there to protect. But to also lead that whole portion of people that look up to that as a leader is a whole other thing entirely. But then while all of this is happening, Eric Killmonger, who is a figure from the previous Black Panther's past, is coming back to Wakanda to seek his revenge. And there's a very personal tie to him coming back to Wakanda, and that's another thing that T'Challa has to deal with. So he's protecting his people as Black Panther, as the king, and essentially as a warrior facing off against Eric Killmonger. Yes, we also have Ulysses Klaue, played by Andy Serkis, who was very prevalent in the Avengers Age of Ultron film. We got introduced to him in that. And while he is a villain of the film, he is not really the big villain of the film. The big villain is Eric Killmonger. And he is personally involved with T'Challa and the Black Panther heritage. And it's great to see that there's a villain in this piece that is personally tied to the main character. It's a little bit like Loki from the Thor films. And I quite like that there is that involvement. It gives the villain a little bit more of a three-dimensional feel. And I feel that that's sometimes lacking in Marvel Cinematic Universe films. But not in this one, and I liked that it gave you a reason to be involved with the villain of the piece as well as the hero. You can see things from both perspectives, but you know that one of them is going about it the right way, and one of them is going about it the wrong way. Now, one thing I will say about Black Panther, and it's not really a negative, it's just a noticeable difference from other Marvel Cinematic Universe films we've had recently, it did have a little bit more of a serious tone to it. All of the ones we had last year, like Guardians Volume 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, and Thor Ragnarok, they all had huge elements of humour involved in them. And the humour in this film was a little bit more downplayed, but it had a very good reason for it. If you were to involve humour too much in a film like this, it would somewhat miss the point of what the film is trying to do, because there is an element of politics involved in this. There is definitely an element of culture involved in this. And I think that if you have humour overlaying all of that, it kind of makes the film one big joke, and I don't think that that would sit well with a lot of people. But that's not to say that the film is detracted from any way by not having that element. There is a little bit of that element, and it's done at the right points of the film so that you feel like you are having fun at those points, and that's perfectly fine. However, it's not hugely involved to the extent that it was in Thor Ragnarok, and I think that's good because that separates this film from what Thor Ragnarok was. You still get a very visually impressive film. The great thing about what Marvel are doing at the moment is they've really got on board with this whole element of world building. They did it in Thor Ragnarok, they've done it with Guardians of the Galaxy, and they're doing it here in Black Panther. They have built a very real, tangible element to the world of Wakanda. And I feel like that is another notch on the belt of Marvel's world building. Everything about their technology and the world that they have built up and the civilization that they have in Wakanda is very visually impressive. Marvel have this great way of building cultures and civilizations and worlds that you wouldn't really otherwise get a feel for if they set it in somewhere that we would recognize and be able to relate to, because that's not the point of the comic book movie. The comic book movie is there to give you that element of escapism, and they've done that incredibly visually well here. Now, there's not really going to be a spoiler talk for Black Panther, because there isn't really a whole lot to spoil for this film. I feel like trailers really need to stop having such heavy reveals in the trailers. Like, yeah, okay, it's great that we get to see Eric Killmonger using a Black Panther style suit in this film, but that would have been something really cool to have reserved for the film. And to show it in the trailer is like, okay, that's drawn me in, but at what cost? Black Panther did a great job of being very visually impressive. It had a great plot to it, and I really liked getting a sense of this character that is built up with T'Challa and all of the people that follow him, and the fact that they are loyal to him, but they also have to be loyal to the throne, and the fact that someone else comes along and challenges that, it kind of challenges where loyalties lie at some points, and I liked seeing that because that's not an element that you really get a feel for in other Marvel Cinematic Universe films. So on that basis, Black Panther gets 4 stars from me. I really like this film, but I also think that it might not be a game changer for Marvel. I do feel like it's a great start to a new character that got an introduction in Civil War, so I liked seeing that, and I am eager to see where the series goes from this point on, because there's definitely going to be more Black Panther films, because this one is so successful. So, Black Panther, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Are you eager to see more from the Black Panther series? Are you eager to see Wakanda involved more in future films? And what would you do if you were both a king and a superhero? Which of those would come first? All comments are welcome in the comments section below. Let's talk nerdy. As always, if you've liked what you've seen here and you want to see more, you can click right here to subscribe and see more of my videos. And until that point, I will see you next time.